Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a video for you based on New York Fashion Week. This past Fashion Week I was able to attend 2 events which I had a great time. I've never been to any events for Fashion Week, and so this was just like putting my toes into all the activities for Fashion Week. So I've reached out to an influencer in Atlanta, Shireen, and expressing that I wanted to attend Fashion Week, and she said she was not, and so she was encouraging me to experience it. And so I decided, okay, maybe I would if something comes up. One day whilst I was looking at Monroe Steele's newsletter, she's another influencer in the fashion and beauty space, and so she posted that she was going to be on a panel with Samsung, and so I looked into it and I said, wow, this would be a nice experience to have. So this event was at Samsung 837, and it was a phenomenal experience. This event was basically a fashion innovators event, and it was a discussion among 4 influencers and a moderator, Hila Walker, who is a multi-Emmy Award winner, and she hosted these ladies to discuss how they have carved their way into the fashion industry as influencers. And so there were lots of influencers attending to this event and supporting all the 4 panelists. So we're gonna look at the event and listen to some of the discussions that took place, and come right back.
Hi everyone! We wanted to do something that was not so obvious. We know the power players, we know the designers, we know the models, we know the people that are very front and center. But what about those that are behind the scenes? Those that are the unsung heroes of the industry, those that are doing the work, the hustlers, if you will. The people that are just really paving a way. Those are the ones that are just redefining what it is to be in the fashion industry. It does not look like what it used to be, and they are showing and telling you that you can redefine what it is to be in fashion and to be a leader in this industry. And when I talk about fashion innovators, right, like I'm talking about a woman who traded her doctorate to become a highly paid, most sought out influencer, right? You know who I'm talking about. When I talk about fashion innovators, I'm talking about a woman who is not only a style star, but she stands amongst them as her own archetype of design, and an editor who has a voice that is traditionally unheard and is really reshaping the narrative of fashion and beauty. And might I add, a woman who has practically invented a whole new career for the industry. Please give it up for these fashion innovators coming to the stage. We have Monroe Steele, Candace Moray, Angel Malaya, and Amira. And asking everyone how it feels for you to be a fashion innovator. And to think about fashion, this is not traditionally what we see, what we are looking at right now. So do you see yourself as a fashion innovator that you are? And don't all answer at the same time now.
Yes. Listen, I've sit there and created a whole entire new lane that people didn't even know existed. Even me going to the fashion industry, I didn't even know existed. And God has just like led my path to something that is definitely needed now, and people actually are starting to see it for what it is.
I would have to agree, because normally as in fashion, they put you in a box. We're just going to start off right there. They put you in a box, and I think for me as a stylist, I'm beyond that. So I think paving my way and allowing all the extensions of me to flourish is me innovating in my own right.
I feel like in this industry, you can't just be one thing. Even just living life now, it's hard to have one. For me, I'm a writer. I write about fashion. I'm a content creator. I am the content. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, I got a newsletter. What else? I do it all.
You do?
it's just a culmination of all those things. I'm not just one thing. And I am a stylist, but I can only style myself.
Well, honestly, as a stylist, there's a science to it, right? It's not just about putting a nice look together or pairing different patterns and colors. There's a science, there's a whole process behind it that people don't really know, understand, or see that's very taxing on the mind, body, and spirit. However, for me, outside of just styling, I've kind of just been good at so many different things, and I didn't allow those things to kind of like cripple me because I get overwhelmed by all of my talents. Instead, I call it like my superpower, where I'm able to like tap into all those things and allow them to, you know, just kind of thrive through me. And whenever I feel creative enough to design, I'll design. When I feel creative enough to creative direct a project, I'll do that. Styling is one of the main vehicles for me. But I do so many other things. I do all things, and I'm not afraid to allow those things to unfold and allow me to nourish them, because again, that's how I continue to thrive and create my own lane.
Yeah, I think for me, what it looks like is not allowing yourself to be boxed in, like, oh, I just work at this publication and that is my only job. I think it's been evolving over the past few years. And even for me, when I decided this was the industry I wanted to go into, I remember when I was in college, I was like, look, I'm going to try to be a journalist, I'm going to try to do all these things, and I'm going to have my own blog too, because I am me, without the names of any publications, of any of that. And so I think that's what it looks like now. It looks like, you know, lending a voice to the publication and wherever you work, but also owning your own voice in who you are.
Yeah, and you kind of invented a career that didn't even exist years ago. And what has it been like for you carving out this relatively new position that didn't exist and really owning that position? Because when we think about fashion luxury, which you are the expert in, we don't typically see your face. And yet here you are standing boldly in Paris, Milan, all the places, right? Showing up and showing that we are to be represented within fashion luxury.
So it's been a whole new world going into this world. And honestly, when people say like, I don't know what I want to do, I get that a lot by, you know, people saying like, I don't know where I want to go, I don't know what education. Really, it was a process of elimination. I know what I love. I love the fashion luxury space. Social media came on a little bit later. So I'm like, how do I marry the two worlds together of social media and luxury fashion? And these jobs started to kind of like sprout little by little, but you had to actually like look and search for it. So it started off being under a company, started with Barney's, doing social media for them. And every job that I went into, it was almost like in an innovative way of being the first to come on. Last corporate job was at Prada, doing social media. And just by nature, you're in the forefront. And because you don't look like everyone else, it makes you be even more in the forefront, and seeing that and knowing I want to represent the best way that I can. I'm going to give you the fits, I'm going to give you the looks, I'm going to give you the hair, and make sure I fully represent that company you're going to remember. But still thinking in the back of my mind, I love the landscape of social media, but I also love the landscape of luxury fashion, which is where those roles together.
Right. Do y'all know that Monroe has a doctorate degree?
So I've been blogging, and in this landscape before Instagram existed, for as long as I have been a physical therapist. So I was doing both. I'm just going to take a chance on myself, and at the time I had already been blogging for a good long while, and I was like, hey, let me see where this takes me. And then those first 3 months, it was like incredible. Like, I feel like letting go of that job opened up the space for God to just bless me with everything I never thought I could have.
So I think staying true to who you are means sometimes saying no to the trends as well. And so again, back to like owning your voice and finding your voice and really finding your point of view, which I must really say, working at The Cut, which is under New York Magazine, because it is so hardcore journalism, I have really learned.
Something that I really loved was during the pandemic time. So, you know, normally you have like your fashion runway. I was at Prada during that time. Pandemic happens, how do you have a runway show now? That you now can invite people to come and actually be on a, you know, runway. I feel like everybody turns to the social media team being like, Candace, we need a whole strategy of what that looks like and how it's going out. So I'm sitting there thinking like creative ideas, and we did so many multiple like virtual shoots essentially of getting like 3D designers. You really couldn't even tell that it was done really by the creator basically filming themselves and putting it out there. And Prada's such a core, just through the roof. Like it never had performed that well. And I think it opened them up to think, realizing that you were narrowing the shows to just the people that you were bringing in, when there were so many more people that actually would have been interested in being at that show, now had access to being there and seeing that you were missing a whole luxury, you know, customer that actually would have been interested in it. So I feel like that was probably a top social campaign.
I show up as myself.
You do?
Yes. So if a brand reaches out, you know, they usually have a brief, which tells you all the things to do and all the things not to do. The time when a brand reaches out, they know you. They see you and they already see what you're doing and they like what you're doing and they want you to show up as you and nobody other than you, because that's what your audience wants to see and that's who they're trying to tap into. And so I just show up as myself. I think it's for me, I just keep it very simple. It's about being very intentional, showing up as myself, and also giving you the information to make it easier for you to either purchase or check it out or want to know more about that brand.
I've said no to things. Like, I'm sorry, like some things, certain companies will go too far. And you'll learn, they'll try to push it down, like, you know, you say you accept in the beginning, then you get the list of deliverables. This happened to me on the street the other day. You know, quick, like, in and out, this is the thing. As someone that does social media, both on the corporate side, then I also can be in front of the camera, right? Reading your contract. So I've both written the contract for influencers and people giving the contract. So I know the loopholes that people trying to throw you in and you're not reading it and you're so desperate for the money, they know it. They're like, they put you in a position where like, hey, I know they need the money, so you kind of let things slide. I said, if you ever read the word perpetuity on a contract, do not sign it. If you take nothing away from this whole panel. And so I've said no to certain things where I'm like, hey, you're basically taking my unborn child here in this contract. So even if you don't have the resources, you know, to, you know, see something, asking a friend, asking resources, ChatGPT, you got that now. What does this mean? Break this down to me. But I came back and said no because I know my worth. And for me, I'm like, I'm gonna let it go because at the end of the day, I'm like, what is for me is for me. If they really want me to sign this or to move forward with this campaign, they'll kind of adjust certain things. But in a perfect world, you want to move forward with these companies. You want to, you know, get that dollar, get that check, but also protecting yourself at the same time as well.
Yes. So yes, politically wise, I have to say no to a lot, but also just, you know, I'm real. I'm a real, you know. And
Wait, put up.
I don't know if we can curse. Oh, you know, yeah, I do that a lot. But I'm real, and I think my rule for myself, always from the very beginning of my career, is if I'm too real for you, the bag is not for me. And I think it's just as simple as that. And it's not only with like social media partnerships, but even for me with jobs. I remember first coming into the industry, not look traditionally like what editors look like at all, right? And for me, I remember just feeling like, oh my gosh, like, who do they want me to be, or who should I try to be? Like my first internship, I said I went to a HBCU, and they asked me, was that a Greek organization? You know, so like, again, when you're in spaces like that, it's like, oh my gosh, if I'm fully, like, you know, it's about to come out, Southside Jamaica, Queens, Asia, then they might be like, well, we're not messing with her. And then I learned, well, if you're not, then that's just not the place for me, and that's okay. And you're gonna land where you need to be. Like, who I'm for, and who I'm not. And in that case, it's not in this bag. What's for me is gonna be for me. So yeah.
Be authentic, be yourself, but so often people are trying to be someone else they've seen in front of them and before them. And I just cannot reiterate enough how important it is to be yourself. Like, that's when I got my first Emmy nomination, because I was like, oh, I want to be like, and hello, hi, I'm Kayla Walker, we're on the scene, and that was not working for me, girl. It was not working for me, and it wasn't until I got an assignment where I literally got to be myself, and the show was called Kayla Walker Hates Working Out. Literally. And I just got to be like, nah, I can't do this. And that is when I flourished, when I got to be myself, not be anyone else, and just genuinely and truly show up for myself in the way that I wanted to and not the way that I thought I should. And that's even like when I sit here with y'all and I'm like, we're gonna kiki, we're gonna have a good time, because that's ultimately what it's about in having a conversation. Amira, please tell me about the times that you have to turn something down because potentially you have compromised, or they're asking you to compromise who you are, what you believe in, and the standards in which you've set for yourself.
Yeah, I've had a lot of that happen with clients. Being a fashion stylist, there's times where I have to tell clients, no, it's not going to align. just because the back end is super unorganized, one. Two, they don't have budget that I feel like works for me. There are just some clients that I just don't feel I align with in terms of styling them, you know? And I want to work with leaders in their industries that are creating impact on a consistent basis.
What role do you believe collaboration plays in driving innovation within this industry?
I compete when we can collab. I always say that, like, collaboration is the way of the future. It's the way of now. That's what we should do. I feel like, you know, so many industries are just so used to operating a certain way and being super cliquish or sticking to who they know, even down to inviting people to certain things. You just invite the same people over and over and over. Why?
They're creative to have different thought processes. We only are going to think like ourselves. So to actually have a conversation with someone that's different, or to collaborate or even try, that's why diversity is so much more beautiful, because you're getting so many different perspectives. I can only get perspective from my POV. Naturally, I'm more in touch with Black women because I come from a Black female perspective. If I want other perspectives, I have to bring those different people into the room and collaborate.
I think we're stronger together, right? And I mean, Blake and I especially, we came up in the industry at a time where it's very crabs in a barrel mentality. And so when you find community and when you find sisterhood in an industry that is historically like that, you lift each other up. And I mean, that looks like, alongside collaborating, that looks like saying each other's names in rooms and not even telling each other. You know, that looks like introducing each other to people that you need to know, because yes, you can be best friends and still have completely different communities. You can have completely different networks. And so, yeah, I think it's always been that for me, like just seeing what the crabs in a barrel mentality looks like in an industry and being like, nah, we're not going for that. Because again, we're stronger together. Like, what do you get out of not collaborating or shading the next person? Like, there's always room for more than one. There's
Isn't enough, even though I'm a social strategist, consultant, I turn off social so that I don't get it from outward, I get it from inward. A lot of times you're looking for inspiration on social media for something special, and you're the thing that's special. One can take your story. So the thing is, I had to sit there with myself and be like, you know, even for the series, I'm like, this is my story. No one can take this, and even if you try to copy it, good luck, because that's for me. And that's okay. A lot of times we're just turning it inward and saying like, hey, I have the sauce, I have the thing. Like, and that's for everything, from a creative, you know, section. It really comes from within, and it's okay that people go and like, it reaches and touches and people like emulate.
You want to inspire, you want to empower,
you want to, you know, empower, but look within a lot of times. I think a lot of times it's like self-doubt, that you're like, oh, I can't do what she does, I can't do it comes from within.
I put so much of myself out there because I'm on YouTube and I blog, and so people see me doing just about everything. So I have to keep some things to myself, or else I would just feel like my whole life is just for public consumption, and that's not, like, it's not a good feeling. Like, you have to have something for you. And everything isn't meant for social media or for the internet. And so my personal life, my dating, my family, I don't show my family, I don't, so family is off limits, because you can talk about me because I put myself out there. But if you say something about my mama, I keep, you know, my family off of social media, and I don't really show my relationships. I might talk about them, but I don't show romantic partners either, and I never will.
I had a lung collapse and basically hospital malpractice, like all of that as a Black woman. So I basically put that into a short series explaining it. And I almost felt an obligation to Black women. This is just for me. This is a personal thing where I was like, if I tell this story because I know I'm not the only Black woman, maybe another Black woman will see this and speak up for herself when she's in the hospital. So when I put it out, I got hundreds of messages from other Black women being like, this happened to me. This is, you know, and thank you for giving me a voice. I almost felt it like a responsibility almost, where I'm like, yes, I can keep the story to myself, but I have a platform. And no, this is not the normal fashion content you see go out, but it's authentic to who I am. It's an actual story that happened. So for me, that's how I kind of have a balance there where I'm like, can this help someone? And if I can tell my side of the story and change somebody's trajectory again, because you might not be connected.
Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for giving insight, inspiring, empower the girls, and also just blazing this trail.
So the next event that I attended was the Canva Times Estonia Fashion House event. This was, I think, like the last event for Fashion Week. I had a great time there too. I met so many people in the industry. I met influencers, I met designers, I met people that work within the industry. I had a great time at this event, and basically this showcased the Estonia, some Estonia designers who reuse and repurpose materials for fashion, and it was a very, very good event. I had a good time. And so let's go back and watch this event and see what took